Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Natasha. Have you ever noticed how difficult it feels to speak English smoothly, even after years of studying? You know the words, you know the grammar, but the moment you open your mouth, your mind freezes. Why does this happen? The truth is, most learners don't actually think in English. Instead, they translate every sentence from their native language, word by word, in real time. And that's exactly what slows you down. Now imagine this. You see a cup of coffee, and instead of thinking in your own language first and then searching for the English word, your brain just says, coffee. No translation, no pause, just natural English thoughts. This is the secret that native speakers never struggle with. They don't translate. They live in the language. And here's the good news. You can learn to do the same. Thinking directly. In English isn't just for people who grew up in America or the UK. It's a skill you can train, no matter where you're from. In this video, I'm going to show you how to reprogram your brain to think directly in English. You'll learn how to silence that inner translator, build an English voice inside your head, and finally start speaking with the same confidence and flow as a native speaker. Ready to stop translating and start thinking in English? Let's dive. And let's face it, most English learners get stuck because of one big habit: translation. You've probably experienced it yourself. You want to say something simple like, I went to the store yesterday. But instead of the words coming out instantly, your brain first says it in your native language. Then, you try to find the English words, arrange them with grammar, and by the time you're ready, the conversation has already moved on. Frustrating, right? This happens because from the very beginning of school, most people learn English as a subject, not as a tool for communication. You were probably taught vocabulary lists to memorize and grammar rules to follow. But you were rarely trained to think in English directly. That's why when it's time to speak, your brain still works in your first language, translating every single thought word by word. Here's the problem with that. Translation is slow. Native speakers process English instantly, without hesitation, while you're still rearranging words in your head. This creates awkward pauses, loss of confidence, and sometimes even embarrassment. And the worst part? The more you translate, the more your brain gets used to it, so it becomes a never-ending cycle. Think about it. When you learned your native language as a child, did you study grammar rules first? Of course not. You learned naturally, by listening, repeating, and connecting sounds with meaning. You didn't translate because there was nothing to translate. The meaning was already tied directly to the word. But with English, most learners build a translation wall between thoughts and speech. That wall is what keeps you from fluency. Another issue is that translation doesn't always work. Languages don't match one-to-one. For example, if you try to translate an expression like, it's raining cats and dogs into another language, it makes no sense. Every language has its own phrases, rhythm, and structure. If you're always translating, your English will sound unnatural, and you'll feel less confident. Let me give you another example. In English, we say, I made a mistake. But in some languages, people say the equivalent of, I did a mistake, or a mistake happened to me. If you translate directly, your sentence will sound strange, even though people might still understand you. The more this happens, the more you feel like your English is broken, when really, the problem is translation itself. But here's something even more important. Translation keeps you from actually thinking like a native speaker. When natives speak, they don't focus on rules or direct word-for-word meaning. They focus on ideas. Their brain jumps from thought to thought in English, without the middle step of switching languages. And that's exactly what you need to train yourself to do if you want fluency. Let me share a quick story. One of my students, Maria, spoke Spanish as her first language. Every time she tried to talk in English, she paused after every sentence. She thought she was bad at English. But when I asked her to tell me a story in Spanish first, she spoke naturally, without hesitation. The problem wasn't her intelligence or her vocabulary, it was the habit of translating. Once she started training herself to think in English directly, her confidence skyrocketed. Within a few months, she could tell stories in English smoothly, without getting stuck. This is proof that translation is not just a small problem, it's the main obstacle between you and fluency. As long as your brain insists on translating, you'll always sound slower and less natural than you want to. But once you break free from translation, everything changes. Your speech becomes faster, smoother, and more automatic. You stop second-guessing yourself, and conversations start to flow like they do in your native language. So the real reason you're stuck isn't that you're bad at English or that you need more vocabulary. It's simply that you're using the wrong method. You're relying on translation instead of training your brain to think directly in English. Once you change this, English becomes lighter, easier, and more enjoyable. Now, you might be wondering, if translation is the problem, then how do I actually stop doing it? That's exactly what we're going to cover next. But before we move on, remember this. The reason you feel stuck is not because you lack talent, it's because your brain is stuck in translation mode. The best news is that this habit can be broken. With the right strategies, you'll retrain your mind, start forming direct English thoughts, and unlock the fluency you've been chasing. And that's exactly where we're headed next. The first step to speaking like a native isn't about grammar or vocabulary. It's about mindset. If you don't change the way you think about English, no amount of memorization will give you fluency. Most learners carry this belief. I need to be perfect before I can speak. But that's the exact thought that holds you back. Natives don't worry about being perfect. They focus on communication, and you need to start doing the same. Let me explain with an example. Imagine a little kid learning to talk. Do they stop before every sentence and ask themselves, "Is my grammar correct?" Of course not. They just speak. Sometimes they make mistakes, sometimes their sentences are messy, but they communicate their ideas. Over time, their brain organizes the patterns naturally. That's how native speakers learn, and that's how you should learn too. When you focus too much on grammar and correctness, your brain becomes a judge instead of a speaker. You're always checking yourself, always correcting, and that slows you down. Instead, shift your focus from perfect sentences to clear ideas. If people can understand you, you are already succeeding. Fluency comes from flow, not from perfection. Here's another important shift. Stop translating words and start thinking in concepts. Natives don't think, how do I say this exact word? They think about the idea they want to share and then express it in natural language. For example, if a native wants to say, "I'm really hungry," they don't search for the word hungry. Their brain instantly connects the feeling in their stomach with the phrase that matches it. You can train yourself to do the same by connecting English words directly to experiences instead of to your native language. Another key mindset shift is embracing mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are proof that you're practicing. Every native child makes thousands of mistakes before mastering the language. Why should it be different for you? If you avoid speaking because you're afraid of being wrong, you'll never progress. But if you see mistakes as stepping stones, you'll grow faster and speak more confidently. Now let's talk about the biggest mental change. Stop thinking of English as a school subject and start seeing it as a life tool. At school, English is usually about exams, grades, and rules. But in real life, English is about connection, relationships, and opportunities. The moment you shift from studying English to living in English, everything changes. Suddenly, English isn't homework. It's your way of understanding movies, enjoying music, making friends, or getting that international job. One of my students, Ahmed, once told me, "I know a lot of English words, but I never feel natural." His problem wasn't vocabulary, it was mindset. He always compared himself to native speakers and felt he wasn't good enough. I told him to flip the mindset. Instead of comparing, focus on communicating. Within weeks, his confidence changed. He still made mistakes, but he stopped freezing, and that made him sound more fluent instantly. Here's a practical way to shift your mindset. Start with simple English thoughts. Instead of trying to build long, complicated sentences in your head, begin with short, direct ideas. For example, instead of thinking, "I need to go to the store to buy some groceries because my fridge is empty," just think, "No food. I go store." That's how you start training your brain to think directly in English. Over time, those short thoughts naturally expand into longer sentences, just like they did when you learned your first language. Another tip. Talk to yourself in English as much as possible. Narrate your day. When you wake up, say, "I'm tired. I need coffee." When you're walking, think, "The sky looks nice. It's sunny today." This habit trains your brain to use English as your default language for everyday life. At first, it feels strange, but soon it becomes natural. You can also use the if-then technique to train your mind. For example, tell yourself, "If I see an object, I will name it in English." If you see a chair, think chair. If you see your phone, think phone. This way, you train your brain to react in English automatically. Over time, you won't even realize you're doing it. It will become natural. Another powerful mindset tool is visualization. Before going into a conversation, imagine yourself speaking fluently. Picture the words flowing easily. Imagine yourself laughing with confidence, and see yourself as a person who already thinks in English. This kind of mental practice rewires your brain, making your real conversations much smoother. And here's the best part. Once you shift your mindset, English becomes lighter and less stressful. Instead of seeing it as something you have to do, you'll start enjoying it. You'll watch movies without subtitles, you'll laugh at English jokes, and you'll feel a sense of freedom when your brain finally starts producing English without effort. So remember, fluency starts in the mind. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know every word. You just need to change the way you think. Stop aiming for perfect grammar. Focus on ideas, not translations. Accept mistakes as part of the journey. Use English as a life tool, not a school subject. And most importantly, start living English in your daily life. That's the real mindset shift that will unlock your fluency and help you think like a native. Now that you've started shifting your mindset, it's time to build something even more powerful. Your inner English voice. This is the voice in your head that speaks to you in English, the same way your native language does right now. Without this voice, fluency will always feel out of reach. With it, You'll think in English naturally, without forcing yourself to translate. Let me ask you something. When you speak in your native language, do you stop and think about every word before saying it? Probably not. The words just flow, right? That's because your brain has an active voice inside that language. But when you switch to English, most learners don't have this inner voice developed, so they feel stuck. Here's the good news. You can create and strengthen your English inner voice with simple daily practices. And once you do, speaking will feel much easier. Step 1. Start with self-talk. One of the fastest ways to build your inner voice is by talking to yourself in English. At first, it might feel silly, but it's incredibly powerful. You don't need anyone else around. You just need your thoughts. For example, when you wake up, say to yourself, I don't want to get up. I need to brush my teeth. What should I eat for breakfast? Simple, natural sentences. The more you practice, the more your brain accepts English as your default language for thinking. Step 2. Use English for decisions. Here's a game you can play. Whenever you have to make a decision, do it in English. For example, let's say you're deciding what to wear. Instead of thinking in your language, think in English. Blue shirt or white shirt? I'll go with blue. These tiny decisions may seem unimportant, but they train your brain to use English automatically in daily life. Step 3. Narrate your day. Pretend you're a narrator of your own life. As you walk, as you cook, as you study, describe what's happening in English. For example, I'm walking to the bus stop. The traffic is heavy today. I'm feeling tired but excited. By doing this, you create a constant English voice in your head that matches your experiences. Over time, you'll notice that your thoughts start switching to English without effort. Step 4. Imitate native speakers. Your inner voice becomes stronger when you model it after native speakers. Watch English videos or listen to podcasts, and don't just hear the words, repeat them in your mind. Copy their rhythm, their expressions, their tone. For example, if you hear a phrase like, "That's awesome," don't just understand it. Imagine yourself saying it in your head. This creates a natural flow for your inner voice. Step 5. Use inner conversations. Have you ever argued with yourself in your native language? Maybe you're deciding whether to eat cake or salad. You hear two voices in your head. Eat the cake. No, don't do it. This is an inner conversation. Now start doing it in English. Argue with yourself, joke with yourself, or plan your day with yourself, but do it in English. Step 6. Expand with storytelling. Another powerful way to build your English voice is by telling yourself short stories. For example, if you see a dog on the street, create a little story in your head. The dog is running. Maybe he's looking for food. Oh, he looks friendly. This exercise helps your brain connect English words to real-life events, which is exactly how natives think. Why this works? All of these exercises work because they remove translation. Instead of thinking, how do I say this in English? You're simply living in English. Your brain starts to store English words as the first choice, not the second. That's when fluency begins. A student's story, one of my students, Maria, struggled with translation. Every sentence she spoke in English took forever, because she was building it word by word in Spanish first. I told her to practice self-talk and narrating her day in English. At first, she could only say short things like, I'm tired or I need water. But after a few weeks, her sentences grew longer and more natural. One day she told me, "I just realized I think in English now without trying." That's the power of building your inner voice. The long-term benefit: when you have an English inner voice, speaking becomes automatic. You won't panic when someone asks you a question. You won't freeze in the middle of a conversation. Your brain will already have the words ready because it's been practicing all day long in your head. And the best part? Once you develop this inner voice, it never goes away. Just like riding a bike, once you learn it, it stays with you. The more you use it, the stronger and more natural it becomes. So start today. Talk to yourself in English. Narrate your day. Argue with yourself in English. Tell stories in your head. Imitate native speakers. Step by step, you'll build that powerful inner voice that makes English your natural language of thought. Now that you understand the importance of building your inner English voice, the next step is making it stronger every single day. And the best way to do that is with daily thinking exercises. These are small but powerful activities that will train your brain to switch from your native language to English naturally. Think of it like going to the gym. If you want strong muscles, you don't go to the gym once a month. You go regularly, even if it's just a little bit each day. The same is true for fluency. Your brain is a muscle, and these exercises are your daily workout for English thinking. Exercise 1. The 5-minute morning routine. The moment you wake up, spend just 5 minutes thinking in English. Don't touch your phone, don't check social media, just use English in your head. For example, I feel sleepy. I need to get up. I have a busy day today. I'm excited for breakfast. This short practice sets the tone for the whole day. You're telling your brain, today, English is the priority. Exercise 2. The one object challenge pick. One object around you and describe it in English. Let's say you see your phone. You can say, "This is my phone. It's black and slim. I use it for calls, messages, and videos." Start simple, then push yourself to add details. This exercise is powerful because it connects English words to real things around you, not just translations. Exercise 3. The inner narrator. Pretend you're a sports commentator or a movie narrator, but for your own life. As you're cooking, say in your head, "She's cutting the vegetables carefully. The pan is hot and the oil is sizzling. When you walk to the bus stop, he's walking quickly. The bus might be late. He's checking his watch." It's fun, it's creative, and it keeps your English voice active. Exercise 4. Question and answer. Ask yourself a question in English and answer it in English. For example, what do I want for lunch? Maybe pizza. But I had pizza yesterday. A sandwich is better. This builds your ability to think in conversations, not just single sentences. Exercise 5. Shadow your thoughts. When you watch a movie, listen to a podcast, or hear a conversation, repeat the sentences in your head. Don't just watch passively. Become the echo. If the character says, "What are you doing?" you immediately think the same line in your head. This builds rhythm, speed, and natural sentence structures. Exercise 6. English diary in your head before sleeping. Replay your day in English. You don't need to write, just tell the story in your mind. For example, I woke up late. I was tired, but I had coffee. Work was busy. I had a funny conversation with my friend. This reflection is powerful because it combines memory, imagination, and English practice all at once. Exercise 7. the if-then method, decide small triggers. For English thinking, for example, if I drink water, I will say, I'm thirsty. If I open the door, I will say, I'm leaving now. By linking English thoughts to actions, you create habits that activate automatically. Exercise 8. Short imagination. Games play little imagination games in English. For example, imagine you win the lottery. In your head, say, if I win the lottery, I'll buy a house in California. I'll travel the world and eat pizza in Italy. These games are fun, and they push your brain to use English in new creative ways. Why these exercises? All these exercises have one goal: to make English part of your daily life. The more you connect English to your normal routine, the less you rely on translation. You stop treating English as study time and instead live with it. That's exactly how natives develop fluency, through daily natural exposure. A success story, one of my students, Rena, struggled for years because she only practiced English in class. She thought about grammar, but never about daily life. I told her to try just 10 minutes of these exercises every day. Within 2 months, she told me, I don't translate anymore. English just comes to me. That's the power of daily thinking exercises. Your action plan. Here's how you can start today. Choose 2 exercises from this list. Practice them every day for 1 week. After 1 week, add 1 more exercise. Keep building until English is your daily habit. The truth is, fluency isn't built in classrooms or textbooks. It's built in your everyday thoughts. And these small, consistent practices will turn English from something you study into something you live. Most people believe you have to move to an English-speaking country to become fluent. But the truth is, you don't need to pack your bags, buy a plane ticket, or live abroad. You can create full English immersion right where you are. You can live in English without leaving your bedroom. Think about it. Immersion simply means surrounding yourself with English so much that your brain has no choice but to adapt. It's the same way kids learn. They're surrounded by the language all day, every day, until it becomes natural. You can recreate that environment at home. Step 1. Switch your digital world to English. How many hours a day do you spend on your phone, computer, or social media? Probably a lot. That's why your digital world is the perfect place to immerse yourself. Change your phone settings to English. Change your computer, your apps, even your Netflix account. Every time you use technology, you'll be forced to see and think in English. When you scroll social media, follow English-speaking accounts. Watch English content, read English captions, leave English comments. Instead of seeing English as something separate from your life, make it part of your daily digital life. Step 2. Build an English-only entertainment zone. Most people relax with movies, shows, music, or YouTube. That's a golden opportunity for immersion. Choose 1 or 2 favorite shows in English. At first, you can use subtitles in English, but soon try to watch without them. Listen to music in English and look up the meaning of the lyrics. Watch YouTube channels only in English, especially ones that match your interests: gaming, cooking, travel, fitness, whatever you love. Remember, it's not about studying the language here. It's about enjoying English like natives do. Step 3. Use the English bubble method. Pick certain times of the day when you live 100% in English. For example, maybe during breakfast you only consume English content. Or when you exercise, you only listen to English podcasts. This English bubble tells your brain, "This is English time," and helps you slowly increase your immersion without feeling overwhelmed. Step 4. Join online communities. Thanks to the internet, you don't need to be in New York or London to talk with natives. There are thousands of online communities, Reddit groups, Discord servers, Facebook groups, language exchange apps, where you can practice daily. The key is to participate, not just read. Comment, reply, ask questions, and share your thoughts in English. Step 5. Talk to voice assistants. Here's a fun one. Use AI or voice assistants like Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant in English. Ask them questions. Give them commands. Joke with them. It might seem small, but it forces you to think and speak in English regularly. Step 6. Create English corners at home. Designate spaces in your home where you only use English. For example, at your desk, you can put sticky notes with English words. In your kitchen, label your fridge, your stove, your table in English. Every time you step into that space, your brain automatically switches to English mode. Step 7. Think of English as your default filter. Here's a mental trick. Whenever you see or hear something, try to describe it in English before your native language. If you hear a song, think, "This song is relaxing." If you see a dog, think, "That dog looks happy." By making English your first reaction, you turn everyday life into immersion. Why this works: most learners believe immersion only happens abroad. But in reality, immersion is just about exposure and engagement. The more your brain receives English through your phone, your entertainment, your conversations, the more natural it becomes. And the best part? You can control this environment yourself. A real example: one of my students, Daniel, always told me, "I'll only be fluent if I move to America." But he couldn't afford to travel. So I helped him build immersion at home. He switched his phone and computer to English, joined online gaming groups where he could chat in English, and started watching sports commentary only in English. After 6 months, he said something amazing. "I feel like I already live in English, even though I'm still in my country." That's the power of home immersion. Your action plan. Here's how to get started with your own immersion without travel. Change your phone, apps, and devices to English today. Pick one favorite activity: watching movies, gaming, cooking, and switch it to English only. Join at least one online group where you can actively use English daily. Create a small English bubble every day where you live 100% in English, even if it's just 20 minutes. Step by step, your brain will adjust. And soon, you'll realize you don't need to move abroad to live in English. You can create that experience anywhere in the world, starting right now. One of the biggest obstacles learners face when trying to think in English is translation. Almost every learner does it in the beginning. You hear a sentence in English, and immediately your brain translates it into your native language. Or, when you want to speak, you first create the sentence in your language, then translate it into English. At first, this feels natural, but over time, it becomes a trap. Translation slows you down, makes you nervous, and creates mistakes. Imagine trying to run a race while carrying a heavy backpack. That's what translation does. It weighs you down. If you want to speak like a native, you have to break free from this habit. You need to train your brain to think directly in English without going through your native language. Why translation is a problem. Here's why translation slows you down. Different structures. English sentences are often built differently than your native language. If you try to translate word for word, the sentence becomes unnatural or wrong. Time delay. Translating in your head takes time. By the time you finish, the conversation has already moved on. Stress and confusion. When you focus on translation, you worry too much about grammar instead of actually communicating. Limited fluency. Natives don't translate when they speak. If you want to sound natural, you need to stop translating too. Step 1. Focus on ideas, not words. When you want to say something, don't think about the exact words in your native language first. Instead, think about the idea or image. For example, if you want to say I'm hungry, don't think of the translation of hungry in your language. Instead, imagine your stomach growling. Then, let the English word appear naturally. I'm hungry. This method trains your brain to connect English directly to meaning, not to your first language. Step 2. Use simple English. First, many learners try to translate complex sentences from their language into English. That's where mistakes happen. Instead, use the simplest English possible. For example, instead of translating, I haven't eaten since yesterday evening and I feel extremely weak, just say, I didn't eat, I feel tired. Keep it simple. Over time, your vocabulary will grow naturally. Step 3. Learn phrases. Not words translating usually happens word by word. To avoid that, focus on learning whole phrases. For example, instead of memorizing hungry, learn I'm hungry. Instead of memorizing how, learn how are you. Instead of memorizing good idea, learn that's a good idea. When you think in ready-made chunks of English, you don't have to translate. You just use them naturally. Step 4. Shadowing practice. Here's a great exercise. Listen to English audio and repeat it at the same time, almost like an echo. This is called shadowing. For example, if you hear, "What are you doing?" you immediately say it too. This method forces your brain to copy English patterns without stopping to translate. Step 5. Practice no native language time. Choose certain times of your day where you completely avoid your native language. For example, during your 20-minute walk, only think in English. No translation allowed. Even if you don't know the exact word, describe it in another way. Instead of translating umbrella, you can say the thing for rain. That's still thinking in English. Step 6. Accept mistakes 1. Reason learners translate is fear of making mistakes. But here's the truth. Mistakes are proof you're learning. When children learn their first language, they don't translate. They just try. Sometimes they make funny mistakes, but they learn fast. You have to do the same with English. Step 7. Train with rapid response. Here's a powerful exercise. Use flashcards or apps where you see an English question and answer immediately, without thinking. For example, card says, "How are you?" You immediately answer, "I'm fine." Card says, "What's your favorite food?" You immediately answer, "Pizza." The faster you respond, the less chance your brain has to translate. Why? This breaking the habit of translation works because it rewires your brain. Instead of going native language, English, you go idea, English. This shortcut makes you faster, more natural, and more confident. A student story: I had a student named Ahmed who always translated from Arabic. He knew a lot of vocabulary, but when speaking, he was slow and nervous. I told him to practice no native language time and focus on phrases instead of single words. Within 2 months, his speaking speed doubled. He told me, "Now when I want to speak, the words come automatically. I don't have to translate anymore. Your action plan. Here's how you can start today. Stop thinking word by word. Focus on whole phrases. Practice 10 minutes of shadowing every day. Create one daily no native language time when you only think in English. Accept mistakes as part of the process. Remember, translation is a habit, not a rule. And like any habit, it can be broken. The moment you stop translating, English stops being a subject you study and starts becoming a language you live. Many learners believe that the more vocabulary they memorize, the more fluent they will become. So they study long word lists, difficult academic terms, and advanced grammar. But here's the secret. Fluency isn't about knowing every word. It's about knowing the right words. Think about children. A 5-year-old native English speaker doesn't know complicated words like sustainability or metaphorical. But they can still talk all day long, express their feelings, and understand others. Why? Because they know the core vocabulary, the words used every single day. If you want to think in English, you don't need thousands of rare words. You need a small set of practical, powerful vocabulary that you can use instantly in daily situations. Step 1. Focus on high-frequency words. Research shows that just the 1,000 most common English words cover about 85% of daily conversations. That means you can understand almost everything people say with just this small set of words. Instead of wasting time on rare vocabulary, focus on high-frequency words like get, make, go, take, want, need, like, think, know. Basic nouns like food, time, people, work, home, money. Common adjectives like big, small, easy, hard, good, bad. With these words, you can already think and speak about most of your daily life. Step 2. Learn phrases. Not just words. Words alone are not enough. Fluency comes from knowing how words fit together in real sentences. For example, instead of just learning the word idea, learn the phrase, "That's a good idea." Instead of just hungry, learn, "I'm hungry." Instead of time, learn, "Do you have time?" These ready-made chunks are what natives use. When you think in phrases, you don't need to translate or build sentences slowly. You just speak naturally. Step 3. Build vocabulary. Around your life, your English needs are not the same as everyone else's. If you're a student, you need phrases about studying. If you work in an office, you need work-related words. If you love cooking, you need food vocabulary. Build your English toolbox around the topics you actually use in life. For example, if you like sports, learn phrases like, "Let's play a match." That was a great goal. Who's your favorite player? When your vocabulary matches your lifestyle, it becomes easier to think in English daily. Step 4. Learn connectors for fluency native speakers. Don't just use words, they connect them smoothly. That's why connectors are so important. Words like and, but, so, because, then, if, when, although. These small words are the glue that make your sentences flow. For example, I was tired, but I finished my work. I like pizza because it's delicious. Without connectors, speech sounds broken. With connectors, it sounds natural. Step 5. Practice active vocabulary, not passive vocabulary. There are two types of vocabulary. Passive vocabulary, words you understand when you read or hear them. Active vocabulary, words you can use when speaking. Most learners have a large passive vocabulary, but a very small active one. That's why they understand English, but struggle to speak it. To fix this, you must practice using words in your thoughts and sentences. Don't just recognize words. Use them daily in your self-talk, diary, or conversations. Step 6. Use the 3x rule. Every time you learn a new word or phrase, use it 3 times in the same day. For example, if you learn probably, make 3 sentences in your head. I'll probably eat lunch soon. It will probably rain today. She's probably at work. By repeating it in real situations, the word moves from passive to active vocabulary. Step 7. Replace your native language words when you catch yourself thinking in your native language. Stop and replace those words with English. For example, if you're thinking, I'm hungry in your language, immediately switch it to English. I'm hungry. Over time, your brain will stop reaching for your native vocabulary first. Step 8. Avoid overcomplicating some learners. Think they need advanced words to sound fluent. But fluency isn't about using fancy vocabulary. It's about expressing yourself clearly. Natives often use simple words. Instead of utilize, they just say use. Instead of commence, they say start. If you can explain your ideas with simple English, you're already fluent. Why this works. Vocabulary is the building block of thought. The smaller and stronger your building blocks, the faster you can think. By focusing on practical, high-frequency words and ready-made phrases, you give your brain instant tools for daily English. A real example: one of my students, May, studied English for years but couldn't speak fluently. She knew many advanced words like photosynthesis and hypothesis, but she struggled with basic conversation. We switched her focus to simple daily vocabulary: food, feelings, work, hobbies. In just 3 months, she said, "Now I can finally think in English without translation." It's simple, but it works. Your action plan: here's how you can start today. Download a list of the 1,000 most common English words. Each day, choose 5 new words and create phrases with them. Use the 3x rule to practice them in your thoughts and conversations. Focus on vocabulary related to your own life and interests. Keep your English simple, clear, and useful. Remember, you don't need big, complicated words to think in English. You need the right words, the words you'll actually use every day. One of the biggest differences between learners and native speakers is speed. Natives don't pause for long seconds before every sentence. They think and speak almost instantly. If you want to sound fluent, you need to increase your thinking. Speed in English. But here's the good news: speed is not about being a genius. It's about training. Just like athletes train their muscles, you can train your brain to think faster in English. Why thinking speed matters. When your thoughts are slow, 3 problems happen. You hesitate too much. You lose confidence. Listeners get impatient and change the topic. But when your thinking is fast, your sentences flow naturally. You feel confident. People enjoy talking with you. So let's break down the steps to train your brain for speed. Step 1. Reduce translation time. The number 1 reason for slow thinking is translation. We already talked about breaking this habit in the last section. The faster you move from idea, English instead of native language, English, the faster you will think. Step 2. Practice quick responses. Set a timer for 1 minute. Give yourself a simple question like, "What did you do yesterday?" "What's your favorite food?" "What will you do tomorrow?" Now answer as many sentences as you can in that 1 minute. Don't stop to think. Don't worry about mistakes. Just speak. This trains your brain to respond quickly, just like in real conversations. Step 3. Shadowing at high speed. Take an English audio clip or video and repeat it at the same speed as the speaker. At first, it will feel impossible, but as you practice, your mouth and brain will get used to moving faster. Shadowing is one of the most powerful exercises to increase fluency speed. Step 4. Use Easy English Mode. One big reason learners speak slowly is because they try to use complex grammar. Instead, use the simplest English possible. For example, instead of, "I would have preferred to go to the restaurant, but unfortunately I was too occupied," just say, "I wanted to go to the restaurant, but I was busy." Fluency is not about big words. It's about smooth flow. The simpler your English, the faster you think. Step 5. Train with real-time thinking. Choose everyday activities and describe them in your head in English. Fast. For example, while cooking, "I'm cutting the vegetables. Now I'm boiling water. The soup smells good." While walking, "I see a red car. A dog is barking. The weather feels hot." By thinking in short, simple sentences in real time, you speed up your mental processing. Step 6. Use the 10-second story exercise. Pick any topic and tell a short story in just 10 seconds. For example, topic, my morning. "I woke up, drank coffee, checked my phone, and went to work." Topic, a funny memory. "I fell off my chair, my friend laughed, and I laughed too." The point is not detail, it's speed. Over time, your stories will become smoother and longer, but starting with quick ones builds fluency. Step 7. Practice with speed games. There are many games that train your brain to think faster in English. For example, word chains. One person says a word and you must say another word starting with the last letter. Dog, game, elephant. Rapid Q&A. Have a partner ask you quick questions and you must answer instantly. Favorite color? Blue. 5-second rule. Name 3 things. In English within 5 seconds. Name 3 fruits. Apple, banana, mango. These games are fun, but they also train your speed. Step 8. Accept mistakes to stay. Fast fluency is speed plus confidence, not perfection. If you slow down to find the perfect grammar, you lose fluency. It's better to speak fast with small mistakes than slow with perfect grammar. Natives make mistakes too. They just keep talking. A student's story, one of my students, Rena, always paused before answering. She said, "I know the words, but they come too slowly." We practiced the 1-minute quick response exercise every day for 2 weeks. At first, she could only say 3 sentences in a minute, but by the end, she was saying 10. Her friends told her, "Wow, you sound so much more confident now." Why this works: thinking speed improves because you are training your brain to mouth. Connection. Just like muscles get stronger with repetition, your speaking gets faster with practice. Over time, you won't need to search for words. They will appear automatically. Your action plan. Here's what you can do every day. 1 minute of fast answers to a simple question. 5 minutes of shadowing an English video. Think in real time about your daily activities. Tell one 10-second story about something that happened today. Play a quick speed game with a friend or by yourself. If you follow this routine, you'll notice results within weeks. Your English will stop feeling slow and heavy and start feeling quick and natural. Now that you understand how to build vocabulary and increase your thinking speed, the next step is creating daily routines. Fluency doesn't come from studying 1 hour a week. It comes from small, consistent habits you practice every single day. Think of it like exercise. If you go to the gym once a month, nothing happens. But if you do a short workout every day, your body changes. English is the same. Short, daily thinking routines will transform the way your brain processes the language. Step 1. Start your morning. In English, the moment you wake up, set the tone for the day. Instead of thinking in your native language, think in English. Ask yourself simple questions. What time is it? What do I need to do today? How do I feel right now? Doesn't matter if your sentences are short. The goal is to get your brain started in English mode right away. Step 2. Use English for small decisions throughout the day. Use English to guide your small choices. For example, at breakfast. Should I eat eggs or cereal? At work. Should I send this email now or later? At the store. Which shirt is better, blue or black? By making tiny decisions in English, you train your brain to stay active in the language without extra study time. Step 3. Create a self-talk routine. Spend 5-10 minutes every day talking to yourself in English. You can do this out loud or silently in your head. For example, while cooking. Now I'm chopping onions. Next, I'll fry them. This smells good. While driving. The traffic is heavy today. I hope I reach on time. That car is too fast. Self-talk. Feels strange at first, but it's one of the most powerful ways to develop natural English thinking. Step 4. Keep an English diary at night. Spend 5 minutes writing about your day in English. Write simple sentences like, Today I met my friend. We had lunch at a cafe. It was delicious. I felt happy. The act of writing forces you to organize your thoughts in English. Over time, your sentences will become smoother and longer. Step 5. Daily vocabulary practice. Choose 3 or 5 useful words or phrases each day. Use them in your thoughts, your diary, and your self-talk. For example, if today's phrase is, look forward to, think, I'm looking forward to dinner tonight. I look forward to watching my favorite show. By recycling vocabulary in your daily life, you move it from passive memory to active fluency. Step 6. Daily question. Challenge: pick 1 new question every day and answer it in English. For example, Monday. What makes me happy? Tuesday. What would I do if I won $1 million? Wednesday. What was the best moment of my week? The goal is not grammar. It's to think deeply in English. Step 7. End the day. In English before you sleep, review your day in English in your mind. Ask yourself, what did I do today? What did I learn today? What will I do tomorrow? This way, Your last thoughts of the day are in English, and your brain continues processing the language even while you sleep. Why routines? Work the brain loves repetition. The more often you think in English during small daily moments, the more natural it becomes. Instead of forcing yourself to study, you simply live your life in English. And when English becomes part of your routine, fluency follows automatically. A student's story. One of my students, Carlos, always said he had no time for English. But we built him a 15-minute daily routine. 5 minutes of self-talk, 5 minutes of diary writing, and 5 minutes of quick questions. After just 2 months, he told me, "I don't even realize when I'm thinking in English anymore. It just happens." That's the power of routine. Your action plan. Here's a simple daily routine you can start today. Morning. Think of your plan for the day in English. 2 minutes. Afternoon. Practice self-talk while doing an activity. 5 minutes. Evening. Answer one daily question in English. 3 minutes. Night. Write a short diary entry and review your day in English. 5 minutes. That's just 15 minutes a day. But if you do it consistently, in 3 months you'll notice a huge change. For many learners, the biggest challenge is not practicing English at home, but using it in real environments like work or school. You may study for hours, but when it's time to give a presentation, write an essay, or answer a question in a meeting, you freeze. Why? Because your brain is still switching between your native language and English. The key is to build habits that let you think directly in English while working or studying. Step 1. Prepare in English, not in translation. Most people prepare in their native language, then translate before speaking. That creates stress and hesitation. Instead, prepare directly in English. If you're making a work presentation, write your notes in English. If you're preparing for a class discussion, think of your answers in English. If you're drafting an email, start in English right away. This way, when the moment comes, you're ready to express yourself smoothly. Step 2. Use English for everyday tasks. At work or school, you handle many small tasks: emails, notes, reminders, to-do lists. Use English for them. Instead of writing "buy milk" on your reminder app, write "buy milk" in English. Instead of writing "meeting at 3" in your language, write it in English. These small actions train your brain to operate in English without extra study time. Step 3. Shadow your environment. Listen to what happens around you and silently translate it into English in your head. For example, at school, when a teacher explains something, think, "How would I say this in English?" At work, when a colleague speaks, imagine yourself repeating their point in English. This silent shadowing exercise keeps your brain active in English all day. Step 4. Participate actively. Don't just listen in meetings or classes, find small chances to speak. Ask short questions, give simple answers, or add small comments in English. Even 1 or 2 sentences keep your fluency alive and show confidence. For example, instead of staying quiet during a meeting, say, "Yes, I agree with that. I think that's a good idea. Maybe we could try this option." Fluency grows by using English in real interaction, not just studying alone. Step 5. Use breaks wisely. During breaks, most people switch back to their native language. But you can use even 5 minutes to practice English thinking. Read an English article. Write a quick diary sentence about how your day is going. Listen to a short podcast while walking. These mini practices add up, and soon your brain stays in English mode even at work or school. Step 6. Build confidence with prepared phrases. Sometimes you don't know what to say and you freeze. A good trick is to prepare a set of common phrases you can use anytime. For example, "Can you repeat that, please?" "Let me think about that for a moment." "That's an interesting point." By memorizing a few ready-to-use phrases, you reduce pressure and sound more natural. Step 7. Reflect in English at the end of the day. After school or work, spend 5 minutes reviewing your day in English. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? What was difficult today? What could I say better next time? This reflection helps you grow and prepares you for the next day. Why this works. Work and school are the places where you need English the most. By thinking in English during tasks, breaks, and interactions, you create real-life immersion. Instead of separating study time and real life, English becomes part of your professional and academic identity. A student's story. Maria, one of my students, worked at an international company but always felt nervous speaking English. She started using small routines, writing her to-do list in English, preparing her meeting notes directly in English, and practicing phrases like, "I see your point." After 2 months, her boss said, "Maria, you sound so much more confident in meetings." That little shift changed her career. Your action plan. Here's how you can bring English into your work or school routine. Prepare presentations, notes, and emails directly in English. Switch your reminders and to-do lists into English. Shadow your environment silently in English. Use at least one prepared phrase daily in a real conversation. End your day with a short English reflection. By following this plan, you won't just study English. You'll live it in your daily responsibilities.